Good morning to all the viewers of the legal game. It is Kushagra Goyal this side, and today, on the date of November 12th, we are going to do the newspaper analysis and talk about two very important things. One, the Major Dhyanchand Khelchand Award, Khel Ratna Award, and the APEC, the Asian Pacific Economic Forum. So, the virtual summit of APEC was held, and Xi Jinping spoke at it, alright, and he mentioned a Cold War mentality. What exactly is this Cold War mentality? How is it going to affect our general knowledge, and what all do we need to know? And lastly, we are also going to talk a little about what is happening in Eastern Europe. We are going to see the map, see the overview of what is happening there, and then dive a little deep into what are the causes for it. So on that note, let's begin with the newspaper analysis. Good morning to all the viewers. Good morning to those who are tuning in. Good morning, Anushka. Hope you're doing well. So before I dive in, a brief introduction about myself. So I'm Kushagra Goyal, a graduate from National Law University, a master's in economics. I've assisted students to achieve AIR 4, AIR 16 and CLAT 21. I assisted students to achieve 100 plus CLAT selections in 2021, and I did a YouTube series that got 90% of the GK questions in the CLAT paper. Alright, now on that note, we have added the notes section for all of you, in the sense that now all of you can access the notes of all the classes that I take, and all of them are free of cost. The notes, for example, the ones that we'll be discussing today, and the notes about all the other special classes and other classes that I take on YouTube, all those notes will now be available. All you have to do is go to bit.ly/KUSHGK notes, or you can connect with me on the Telegram app. You can find me on Telegram using the code Kushagra Goyal, the legal game, KUSHAGRAGOYAL, the legal game _Unacad. You can also connect with me on Telegram using the link in the description box. Okay, so let's dive in the newspaper. On the front page, on the right hand side, is a news about India stating that see, our updated climate change nationally determined contributions are subject to the funding of 1 trillion from the developed countries. So this talks about the principle of CBDR. What is CBDR? Anyone? CBDR, which is the bedrock of climate change principles. CBDR stands for common but differentiated responsibilities, right? So under common but differentiated responsibility, India has taken an additional burden. Nothing of this sort was asked to us to do, but we are doing it on our own. So Prime Minister Modi spoke at the Glasgow summit. He talked about how India is going to do a Panchamrit. We have already talked about the Panchamrit, right? And in these 5 assurances of India that we see on the screen, India has now stated that see, we cannot deliver on these promises if you do not provide us with the funding that is required to boost this. So this is a very, very important statement that see, our responsibility is to reduce the burden, but the funding of it should come from you, because you have historically benefited from cheaper energy without any burden towards the climate. All the damage that has happened to the earth has happened because of you guys, and so the primary burden to resolve it also lies on all of you. Okay, we are going to do our dutiful, but that is subject to the funding. So right now the climate summit is ongoing. Negotiations about the responsibility to provide funding is happening in real time in Glasgow, right? So that rule book that needs to be put in, India has been asking countries to have a obligatory dispersion of funds. Obligatory funding, that you are legally bound to do it. Just like we are legally bound to fulfill our NDCs, you are also legally bound to provide this. Okay, so that's the key part of this heading. See, all of this is developing story until and unless the convention is finally concluded, that is, the conference of party concludes. Until then we cannot say for sure what will be the bedrock and what will be the final thing. Okay, so that's the key part of it. On the left hand side, intense showers bring Chennai to its knees, claim 14 lives in Tamil Nadu. So this is part of what is happening. This northeast monsoon, the one that develops in Bay of Bengal, it's part of withdrawal of monsoon. Okay, so in that regard there has not been much update to take forward. There is nothing from current affairs to be noted down here. Okay, then on the left hand side, CPC resolution cements Xi Jinping position. So we had been talking about the Communist Party convention that is supposed to happen, that had been happening, and he will now begin his third term. So Xi Jinping's third term has been confirmed. Okay, what apart from this, what all do we need to know? So he became the premier of the Chinese Communist Party in 2012. Okay, 2012 was the year there were a restriction of 2 terms when he took on as the post, but in 2017 this restriction was abolished, and now in 2021 it has been confirmed further. All right, so the Communist Party is now the party of Xi Jinping basically. Okay, he will be there until his death. Okay, so third term until infinity. That is the key part to be noted down. All right, then on the right hand side is the news about Supreme Court going to hear pleas against FIRs. UAP FIRs have been filed against activists and people who have criticized the government of Tripura and its action. So in that regard UAP has been filed. Now that is what needs to be seen once the court decides. What will it quash the FIRs, what will happen? So this is a important note for us to keep in mind. Okay, all right, it's a very key part of our preparation for legal reasoning and legal GK. Okay, or current legal events. So in that regard this is a key. So moving on then, big fat Indian weddings are back with the bang. This is talking about the wedding season is right around the corner. All right, I will also be taking a leave because of one of my senior who works in a maritime law firm in Newcastle. He is getting married, so I will be also taking a leave next weekend during this auspicious occasion. So informing all of you beforehand. Okay, then moving on. So today is the free literature virtual literature festival of the Hindu. If any of you are also interested in attending any of these sessions, you can. Okay, in terms of current affairs, nothing to be added per se, but it's free of cost. You don't have to travel anywhere. You can just register on the website. Okay, so you can do that scanning the code. Okay, so if you are interested, do attend, but nothing from your current affairs side. Then moving on, on the right hand side is the news about Punjab House passes resolution against BSF jurisdiction, right? Okay, in terms of this, what has happened? Jurisdiction of BSF had been extended to 50 kilometers from 15. Okay, now will a resolution of the House change the jurisdiction of BSF? The answer is no. Okay, can a state assembly resolution affect the decision? The answer is no. ठीक है, ये बात याद रखने की है कि एक तो jurisdiction कितना increase हुआ है, कहां पे क्या change हुआ है, and can a state assembly resolution change anything? The answer is no. But why do you do it? You do it to tell whether the state, so historically, if let's say some 50 years or 20 years later, okay, this jurisdiction is increased from 50 to 80 kilometers, ठीक है, and then the then government tells कि पिछली बार when we had done it 20 years ago, then also you had no problem. So now to tell that we actually had a problem, you can say that see, our assembly then also passed a resolution to that effect, that see, this is something that we never consented to. It is to tell, see, there is a quote which says that some battles are not fought to ensure victory, some battles are fought just to tell the world that you were there fighting, right? So in terms of legislative history and in terms of constitutional privileges and practices, you have to record your event. If for example you believe in something, you have to tell it out, okay? So this kind of resolutions that assemblies pass are basically this effect, that to tell the world that this is what we believe in, this is what our opinion is about A, B or C, okay? Right? From an examination point of view, this is the question that you can be asked. Can the state assembly resolution affect the BSF jurisdiction? The answer is a resounding no, okay? Now we move on to apart from this, there is political news, nothing of note for us, alright? Then here, the lowdown on India's Glasgow announcement, the newly unveiled commitments at COP deserve examination as they come amidst a very contradictory official signals. What are the contradictory official signals? So first let's talk about them. So the article highlights two primary contradictory ones. The first is the forest cover. Okay, what is the pledge? Post 2030. Is this color visible or should I change it? Okay, that post 2030 no deforestation. Okay, thank you so much. So no deforestation, that was the first mandate. Okay, under climate change, each country is obligated to keep 33% of their landmass as a forest. Okay, this is the obligation. India has not committed to it. Okay, that post 2030 we will not indulge in any deforestation. Why have we not done so is the question mark. It is the first lowdown or the disappointment or the contradictory sign. See, if you are to reduce your carbon consumption and you have to historically correct the carbon consumption. See, Earth was 100 degrees pehle and will become 101.5 now. Okay, by 2030. That's the target. Okay, that's the target we have. But does that mean that we don't have any responsibility to reduce this 1.5 eventually? ये जो increase in temperature है, we will never reduce it. No, right? So how can we reduce this temperature? By actually increasing the carbon sinks of our planet, all right, or the increasing the capacity to reduce carbon in the atmosphere. So we have to create carbon sinks. The forests are the only one to do it. Okay, So this is the first thing that we have to note, or the lowdown contradiction. The second one that this article points out is the Methane Pledge. Okay, if you can hear the sound of a cat, that's my pet cat. Okay, she wants to come inside the room and play with me. Okay, so that's the sound that you're hearing. Alright, so the second pledge is the Methane Pledge. Okay, 2030 Methane Pledge. What is the 2030 Methane Pledge? The 2030 Methane Pledge these pledges are where the question can lie, so keep a note of them. Okay, Methane Pledge is 2020 तक के जितने आपके मीथेन emissions है, that needs to be reduced. Okay, all right, so this is the pledge that you have, that you will reduce your methane emissions below your 2020 levels come 2030. Okay, that you will go below what you are doing right now. Okay, so that's the pledge in terms of this. Okay, in terms of methane, India has not subscribed to the 2030 Methane Pledge also. Okay, that is the second contradictory signal. Okay, both these factors mean that the corporates will have a lower burden in terms of reducing carbon emissions. See, eventually it is companies and individuals who increase or decrease carbon emissions, right? Government can do only a part of it. So for example, abhi recently you can take the cue from Yamuna River pollution. In Yamuna River, the 18 sewage or drainage that is happening, that is causing the pollution in the city of Delhi to the river, is done by individuals, not the government, right? So the cleanup responsibility is on the government, but until there is a mandate on the government to do it by these pledges, they will not ask the private companies to do it, and when they will not ask the private companies to do it, they have no incentive to do anything. All right, so this is the key part, two contradictions. So two pledges, one about forest cover and no deforestation post 2030, and second is the Methane Pledge. Okay, now we move, the other part of the editorial talks about how much is India actually doing in terms of its updated NDCs. Let's say that no funding comes from the developed countries, can we still achieve our targets? So the editorial says that yes, we can. All right, that even if there is no funding, we have to do it. That's the first part, that we have to do it, and second, that we can achieve it. In realistic terms, it is something that we can achieve in every possibility. Okay, so that's the part regarding this editorial. Otherwise there is nothing new for us to note down. Okay, current affairs related, we just need to know the two pledges and the 5 commitments of India. Okay, apart from this, this editorial also talks about what and how India is going to do it, reduce its carbon emissions, increase its greenhouse renewable energy cover, all of that. Okay, अब उसके अंदर those are not facts that we have to bother too much. Okay, but I will nevertheless highlight the related paragraphs for all of you. Okay, so that you can take a look at them later on. Okay. All right, so this is the paragraph that you can note down. Firm steady decline, both, one sec, emission reduction by 1 billion by 2030. First time India has put an absolute number. How will we do it? Projected to reach this much. We will achieve it by railway reaching net zero target by 2030, cutting 60 million tons annually, and LED bulbs cutting 40 million. So the 100 or the 1 trillion target that the government has set in the Panchamrit, that can be achieved by just doing two things. One, the Indian railways becoming net zero, and second, LED bulbs, every bulb in the country becoming a LED electricity one. That will reduce 40 million of total carbon consumption in our country. So those are the two things. Now where is the methane pledge? Second, India decided not to join the methane pledge, which is 30% reduction from 2020 level, and first did not decide to end deforestation by 2030. So these are the two pledges on the right hand side, and center mein how we will reduce the absolute ones. Okay, then we move on the left hand side is the NSA dialogue about which we talked about yesterday. So India and what is known as the Delhi Declaration that was signed, that was announced yesterday. Okay, in terms of this, so Delhi Declaration was signed at the NSA meet. This was the third regional security dialogue of Afghanistan chaired by NSA. Alright, Ajit Doval, he headed the Indian side. 5 Central Asian countries, Russia and Iran attended, Pakistan and China did not. Okay, so we talked about it yesterday, so if you have not watched yesterday's video, please go and do that. Okay, then the second one, season of floods, Tamil Nadu cities need long-term solution. So this is that each year more and more rains are coming, we need long-term solutions. It talks about how there are certain drains in Chennai that can already deal with majority of the problem. They should be efficiently put, they should be retrofitted. America has come up with a 1 trillion infrastructure bill basically to fix the drainage of the country and water supply of the country. Okay, so they took 75 years to take these kind of steps. We can do it much earlier. We need to do it now when we are facing the problem now itself. Okay, then on the right hand side is about the fuel expenditure. Okay, the excise duty and the constitutional mandate within it, right? This is a important article. Okay, even though written by a politician. Who has written it? K.N. Balagopal, who is the finance minister of Kerala. Okay, so in terms of any tax, so one, we have direct tax, okay, then we have indirect taxes. One thing we need to always keep in mind, the fuel that we purchase is always an indirect tax. उस indirect tax के ऊपर एक तो justified tax लगता है, and then there are the cess and surcharges. Okay, the cess and surcharges. Okay, so this article makes the claim that the cess and surcharge on fuel is far more than the indirect tax announced on the fuels. Okay, how is it highlighted? It is highlighted here. The basic excise duty is 1.40 rupees. Rest of the tax is made up of the special excise duty and cess, which will not go through the divisible pool. इससे related there are 3 constitutional articles. I am highlighting them in different color. Please make a note of them. Okay, Article 271 and Article 269 and 270. Okay, इसके हिसाब से if there is a cess, cess will only go to the union. Okay, and not to the states. यूनियन गवर्नमेंट उसको अपने हिसाब से स्पेंड कर सकती है. वेयर इज इट प्रोवाइडेड? आर्टिकल 271. सो वेयर डज द पावर ऑफ द यूनियन गवर्नमेंट टू इम्पोज सेस कम फ्रॉम? आर्टिकल 271. वेयर डज द पावर ऑफ द यूनियन गवर्नमेंट टू डिस्पर्स to not disperse the cess with the state governments come from Article 271 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so that is the key part to be noted down. Okay, apart from this, then it talks about the usual criticism of the GST. GST had taken away powers of the state governments. Okay, it was a tax imposed by the center, and then the center will disperse the revenue with the state governments. There was a thing that state governments had told that, see, this will reduce our overall income, which is what we are susceptible about. This is why we don't want to impose it. But in 2016, our Prime Minister had stated that none of this will happen and states will be compensated for the damages that they will face. Okay, now 5 years have passed of GST. It is talking about this is revenue neutral rate, that the state will follow a revenue neutral rate which will ensure that the revenue does not fall, that whatever revenue we were earning, we will actually increase that income. But that is what has not happened. Why it has not happened? Because the effective rate of GST has fallen from 16% to 11%. But the question then is raised, agar GST, which is a central tax, that has fallen, has the overall tax burden of the people reduced? क्या आपके ऊपर tax कम हुआ है? That is where the article says no. A tax burden that attacks the federal rights of the states, the heading is come. So this extra tax, right, this 5% that is still being imposed, okay, and above that 5% plus is actually going only to the center, right? That the benefit of reduction in taxes has not been given to consumers, rather they are paying much higher because of the cess and surcharges that the central government is charging from them. Okay, so that is the key part that needs to be noted down and understood from this article. Okay, so we move on now to, is the economy still reeling from demonetization? So this is the key question that economics and policy makers have been discussing, that has demonetization brought any benefit? What are the damages that we are facing? So this is a Q&A parley discussion. You can read it, it's a policy discussion. What comes out more and more is that demonetization was a disaster that no one should repeat per se. We talked about it yesterday also. Okay, then the data point talks about how the overall pace of giving vaccines to people has reduced, the share of population. So for example, majority of the states have given up to 80% of their population the first dose, but people with the second dose are not turning up for their second doses, which is reducing the pace of vaccination. Okay, then this news, CDS ministry differ on China moves. What is the meaning here? In two facts I will tell you. One is the border of India. Okay, one is, so I will draw two lines. One is the border. Okay, then comes the then comes the LAC. You can see that at certain areas LAC is reducing the area of India as India's territory. Okay, the US Pentagon report talked about how China is building infrastructure on its side of LAC. So they are building buildings here somewhere, some other places. Okay, all right. Now if there is construction of Chinese happening in this particular area, where is the construction happening? It is happening within the borders of India, right? So Bipin Rawat, who is the Chief of Defence Staff, he is stating that see, they have done construction on their side of the LAC, line of actual control. The ministry is stating that see, this is part of the illegal occupation of our territory. What you have done through LAC is intruded into Indian territory, alright, and therefore any construction that you do in this area is illegal. So this is the conflict that is coming out. The army, who is headed by Chief of Defence Staff, they are claiming उन्होंने अपनी side की LAC में किया. They have done on the line of actual control. The territory we do not control. Okay. Indian Defence Ministry is claiming that see, at certain points the LAC is actually the area where Indian border is. तो आप क्या कर रहे हो? You are intruding into our territory. Okay, so this is the conflict between the two parties that is coming up. Okay, fair enough. So we move on. उसके बाद on the other national news, nothing of real note for us here. Okay, custodial death, we have already talked about it. Then we move to the international page. Okay, she warns against Cold War mentality in Asia Pacific. So we will talk about this in depth, okay, at the very last. On the right hand side, the last president, the last white president of South Africa has passed away. Who has passed away? F.W. de Klerk. Okay, he was the one who transferred power from whites, ended the apartheid, that was the racial regime of South Africa, to the blacks in Africa and South Africa. Nelson Mandela, the hero of anti-apartheid movement, he was released by de Klerk. All right, so in 1993, for this transition, both of them were given the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, so this is the picture of both of them receiving the Nobel Prize with the medallions of Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, so that is the key part that is highlighted here. All right, so you need to remember his name, Nelson Mandela, the first black president of South Africa. Okay, you all already must know about him. Okay, then Afghanistan on the brink of economic collapse. This is something that has been warned by so many. Okay, but from space side is a news that you need to note down. Okay, Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space. All of you are aware of it. Okay, now, so he took it when he was part of Soviet Union in 1961. That was the first man, and now the 600th man to travel in space has happened 60 years later. Who has achieved it? German astronaut. His name is here. One second. On a SpaceX mission. Okay, and Germany's Matthias Morier. Okay, he has become the 600th astronaut to go into space. Okay. Good afternoon, Trasik. Alright, so this is the name. You have to remember the name. 600th is Matthias Morier from Germany. Okay, even though it was a SpaceX mission. So एक confusing बात आपसे पूछी जा सकती है. SpaceX US कंपनी है, ठीक है, and उनके मिशन के ऊपर the 600th human went to space. So most likely कि US citizen होगा the 600, but that is not the case. It is Germany. Okay, Germany is the answer. Matthias Morier, he is the person. Okay, that is what you need to know. Yuri Gagarin in 1961, the first one. Okay, then on the right hand side, Gulf states hold naval exercise with Israel. This is the first time after the signing of Abraham Accords that Gulf countries are taking part along with Israel in a naval exercise. Okay, so this is an update and keeps Israel as a center of dispute or something that we need to keep a note of. Okay, now we move on. On the economics and sports size, nothing of note. 5G spectrum might happen April, May, whenever that happens. Australia has defeated Pakistan in the final. It was a very interesting final if you are a sports fan. Okay, so on that note, mitigating hunger during a pandemic. This is talking about the Prime Minister Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which is now concluded. Under this, additional 5 kg of grain was being provided to ration card holders. Okay, that scheme has now ended. Okay, this month there are activists who are asking that hunger has increased in the country, so you should continue with it. The migrant crisis at Belarus EU border, we'll talk about it abhi. Okay, and then MPLADS, its suspension and why it must go. कल मैंने ये article आपको ऐसे ही समझा दिया था. This is something I explained yesterday itself, so there is nothing to note here personally. We had discussed about MPLADS yesterday. The scheme was brought in, it had been challenged that see, this is not constitutional because it puts a legislator as an executive. There is a lot of misuse of the funds that take place. MPs use their relatives, they extract favors from people. That is why the scheme should be discontinued. So now we move to the APEC virtual meet. So there are certain facts about APEC, then we will come to the border crisis. Okay, so first of all, what is APEC? Asian Pacific Economic Forum. Okay, the idea of APEC was first pointed out by Australian Bob Hawke in Seoul in 1989. Okay, then 12 months later, the founding members of APEC were Australia, Brunei, Canada, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and USA. Okay, but it became a formal meeting only in 1993. Okay, annual Apec Economic Leaders Meeting. This is the one जो 2021 में virtually हुई है. Okay, alright, here are all the members of APEC. This was the time when US and China were getting more and more closer. Okay, so APEC was their move to actually get closer to the Chinese and the Russians. Okay, the Cold War had just ended. Okay, and therefore there was a lot of goodwill that was there, and that the Pacific, so AP, Asian Pacific Economic Forum. Okay, Council, this is the one that all the member states are here. It has most of the big economies, but 2023 and 2022 ka summit is in doldrums. Why is it in doldrums? Because US want to host that summit. Okay, US wants to be the host and Russia wants to send its diplomats there. Okay, and Chinese, but US has banned certain diplomats from travel as part of Cold War. Okay, recently US is supplying Australia with nuclear submarines. Alright, which is going to be part of the Indo-Pacific region. Submarines to pani mein hongi. Who will they counter? The Chinese. Alright, so therefore, what is in news apart from it? AUKUS alliance. So AUKUS alliance has been claimed by Xi Jinping as Cold War mentality, that you want to be hostile to us. Similarly, not allowing ambassadors from one country to travel to another is also Cold War mentality. But US has claimed that see, it is part of national security and we are not going to go back on it. So hame first time when it was formally established, 1989 mein the idea was first mooted. 1993 it is established as a leaders summit. Okay, there are, and who are the founding members? So there are 12 founding members in it. Okay, and 15 countries joined in later. Oh sorry, 9 of them, my bad. 9. Okay. Australia, Brunei, Canada, Indonesia, Japan, Singapore, Philippines, New Zealand, US, Thailand, Malaysia and South Korea. These are considered to be more close allies of US. Okay. Then there are certain countries which are closer to China and Russia today. That is Vietnam, Peru, Chinese Taipei, Papua New Guinea, okay, and Hong Kong. Alright, so Hong Kong is anyway a territory of China now de facto. So this is the tussle, that now in a common region where countries share borders, there is a hostility that is happening between these countries, which is what is being countered here. Okay, so Apec's founding members is what you need to keep a note of. Who were the founding members? Australia had mooted the idea, okay, and it was in South Korea where the idea was mooted first time. In 1993 it became formal. 1989 mein the idea was given for the first time. Okay, now we come quickly to the what is happening in Belarus and Poland. Okay, so Belarus is under the control of Alexander Lukashenko. Lukashenko is a autocrat, he is a non-democratic. Last year's elections were something which were called a sham. Okay, so Belarus has been pushing in something similar to what is happening in Myanmar also, right? In Myanmar there is tussle against democracy that is happening. Okay, and because of that people are moving. Something similar is happening in Belarus. Belarus के अंदर people are moving away from Lukashenko's authoritarian regime. So where will they go? They will go into neighboring countries, Lithuania and Poland. Okay, so this is where they are migrating more and more. What has Poland done? Poland has created forces here. Poland has reinforced its borders and stated that no immigration will happen. Poland is ruled by a right-wing party who is anti-immigration. Okay, they are anti-immigration, that no immigrants should be allowed in the country. Now these people do not want to live in Belarus, they cannot come to Poland. Lithuania also has a limit, so these people are now at risk. What the European Union is telling Belarus, that see, get your act together, keep your people in your borders, don't instigate this migrant crisis. Belarus anyway doesn't want these people. They're like, if you are not aligned with me, I don't need you. So this is the tussle. Now European Union की जो natural gas आती है, all right, most of their gas pipes go through Belarus. Okay, it comes from Russia and it goes through Belarus. Belarus is saying, if you push me too much, I will cancel these gas lines, and if I cancel these gas lines during winter, you all will shiver in cold. So this is the diplomatic tussle that is happening in the region in Central Europe. Okay, this is what the article is also about. This is the tussle. Now we need to see what happens, but we have already understood ki behind the story kya hai. It's all about trying to put a autocrat as a democratic, that get your act together, and they pushing back against such attempts. Okay, Belarus has support of Russia because Lukashenko has a pat in the back from the Russians. Okay, so that's the key part of this crisis. All right, now we come to certain announcements that I have for all of you. Okay, so on 14th November, Unacademy is conducting its largest scholarship test. Okay, the largest scholarship test for CLAT 2022 students, and in this test it will be based on the entire syllabus of CLAT examination, and the rank 1 will get 100% scholarship from Unacademy. All right, and Along with that, they will be able to get a 30-minute one-on-one session with the top educator of their choice. Rank 2 to 5 will get a 50% waive on subscriptions. So if you are a paid subscriber and you're looking for guidance, this is your chance to do it for free. Okay, so do appear on 14th November on Bal Divas. The scholarship test will be live on the Unacademy app. See, it is free of cost. The test is free. Okay, so even if you don't make it, it will be as a practice nevertheless. Okay, so do appear for this scholarship test. You make it very good, all right. Nevertheless, it will be practice. It will not go to waste. So please do attend to it, all right. And lastly, today I am taking a marathon session, a special marathon session at 9 p.m. on the Unacademy app as a special class. This will be the past 2 years GK section papers. Okay, we all know that the CLAT pattern has changed, so we need to be prepared for this. Okay, the test will be live in the morning hours itself. You can give it at any point of time on your Unacademy app. Okay, and from then you will only get 120 minutes to answer the question. So use the app or log into the website and give the test. Okay, it will be available from morning hours, so whenever you have made up your mind, you can do it. Okay, so please do attend to it. It's free of cost. Don't miss out on it. Okay, and lastly, today at 9 p.m. I'm hosting a special marathon class, so please don't miss out to understand the past year's paper if you are one of those who has little idea of what to study for the examination. Now that 6 months are left, it is very paramount that you are aware of the paper. Okay, and lastly, so for special classes, all you have to do, they are free of cost. Okay, the lecture notes will be available the moment class gets over. All you have to do is use a referral code to log in if you are a user for the first time. My code is KUSSGK, which you can use to log into the app. Alright, so I've got a doubt. I'll address that in a second. Lastly, if you're looking for a dedicated course, you can subscribe also to the subscriptions. If you are someone who is looking for a long-term plan, then there is availability of a 24-month package. If you are a CLAT 2022 student, there is a 6-month package which is 16,000, and if you use my code KUSSGK, you will get an additional 10% discount on your total subscription. Okay, lastly, so what all to note today? First, the 2 pledges. All right, 2030 deforestation, and 2030 methane pledge. All right, then second, APEC. Okay, उसके बाद Xi Jinping, third, tenure. All right, then Indo-China border dispute. So once again, you need to know about it, cannot skip it. It is always in news nowadays, so that is something that you have to revise on a regular basis. Borders ke naam, all of that. Okay, now the short quiz from Hindu. So now each day we will be doing the last 10 minutes as a quiz. Okay, I will be giving you exactly 1 minute to answer these questions. You can tell me the answers in the chat box. So today's quiz questions are about the Khel Ratna award. I have done the homework. I have got the answers also. These are the quiz that is on the Hindu. I have edited these questions a little to suit our CLAT paper. So the first question, which Indian sporting icon was the first to be conferred with the Khel Ratna in the year 1991 to 1992? Okay, was it Nimarikam Kunjari, B. Sachin Tendulkar, C. Sunil Gavaskar, or D. Vishwanathan Anand, the first winner of the Khel Ratna award? Okay, you can take your time, you can take your guesses also. Let me know in the live chat who you think is the winner. Okay, and others? Yes, the correct answer is option D. Vishwanathan Anand, back then the India's grandmaster and the first participant in World Chess Championship from India. Okay, a 5-time World Chess Championship winner. Vishwanathan Anand was the first winner of the Khel Ratna award. Okay, he was the first one. All right. Then the second question, cricket may be the most popular sport, but there have only been 5 winners from it. Apart from Sachin Tendulkar and Mahendra Singh Dhoni, who among the following has not been given the award? Okay, so there are 4 options. Who has not received the Khel Ratna award? Cricket has had 5 winners. Okay, so who among the following has not been given the award? Is it Rohit Sharma, option A, B Virat Kohli, C Mithali Raj, or D Rahul Dravid? Okay, Virat Kohli, the current captain, Mithali Raj, the previous captain of women's team, Rohit Sharma, the current T20 captain, or Rahul Dravid, a former captain and the current coach of the Indian cricket men's team. What are the answers? Trasik, what's the answer? Guess the answer to the question. I'll answer your doubts later, but now we are on the quiz time. Okay, 10 seconds more. The answer is D Rahul Dravid. He has not been given the Khel Ratna award. The 3 other winners, Rohit Sharma has been conferred this year, Virat Kohli has been given earlier in the decade, and Mithali Raj also earlier in the decade. Okay, so they have been winners earlier. It is Rahul Dravid. Okay, he has not been given the Khel Ratna award. Okay, now the next question. Over the years, only 1 star from football, gymnastics and table tennis have been conferred the coveted honor. Billiards and snookers have not been considered as cue sports. Name the incorrect winner. So among the 4 options, there is one incorrect option. Okay, these are from names from football, gymnastics and table tennis. You have to tell who has not won the award. Sunil Chhetri 2021, Deepa Karmakar 2016, Manika Batra in 2020, or Baichung Bhutia in 2022 or 2002. I'll give 10 seconds more. The answer is D Baichung Bhutia. Sunil Chhetri is the only footballer, and all these 3 options are correct. Baichung Bhutia has not won the Khel Ratna award. The former football captain of the Indian men's team has not won the Khel Ratna award. Manika Batra, a table tennis player, won it in 2020 on back of her performance in the Asian Games. Deepa Karmakar, a gymnast in 2016 Rio Olympics, she came very close to winning India a medal in gymnastics and stood 4th. In that regard, she was awarded the Khel Ratna award. And Sunil Chhetri this year, and the 3rd highest active run scorer or goal scorer in terms of football. Currently, he is only superseded by Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi in terms of international goals. Okay, he is the highest goal scorer of India. So Sunil Chhetri won it this year. Okay, so the answer to this question is Baichung Bhutia. Now, including the 2021 winners, there have been 57 recipients since the inception. Which sport has seen the most awardees and how many? Okay, so I have given 4 options. Which among them is the correct one? The one with the highest, okay? Shooting A, 8 medals, cricket 5 medals, freestyle wrestling 6 medals, hockey 5 medals. Which sport has had the highest? Take your time. You can think about it. Wrestling has become recently a very successful sport in India for Olympics. Same with hockey, right? This year we had an entire hockey team that won its first Olympic medals since 1980. Okay. In shooting, we have had multiple, even a union minister is a former Olympic medal winner from shooting itself. So which sport is it? 10 seconds more. You can guess the answer. It's fine. Okay. So the answer to the question is shooting. All the options are correct. Okay. All info in the options. All options have correct info here. So it was just a trick just to see how confident you are in terms of trusting the options. So shooting has had 8 medals. Then the next sport is freestyle wrestling that has won 6 Khel Ratna awardees. Okay, cricket has had 5 and hockey has had 5. Okay, so shooting has the highest medal Khel Ratna award winners in the sense. Okay, 8 of them from shooting. All right, now moving to the next one. What is the cash award a recipient gets along with the citation and a medallion? Is it 25 lakhs, 1 crore, 50 lakhs or no prize money? When you win the Khel Ratna award, what is the prize money that you receive? This should be very easy. This is a good question also. We had discussed this when the Khel Ratna awardees were discussed. Correct. Option A is the correct answer. You get a citation, a medallion and 25 lakhs. Okay. Though it is now a high time they should raise the prize money. Alright. So, but you get 25 lakhs. Very good. Okay. Now we move to the last question. Okay, apart from PV Sindhu, who is the other multiple Olympic medalist to get the Khel Ratna award? Multiple Olympic medalist. Is it Rani Rampal from hockey 2020, Sania Mirza tennis 2015, she won the award, Sushil Kumar in 2009, or Devendra Jajaria, javelin thrower in 2017? Who among the following is the other multiple Olympic medalist? Olympic medalist. I think Trasik, you're not following the class live, but it's okay. For those who are following me live right now, so PV Sindhu, we all know, has won Olympic medals in 2016 and 2020 Olympics. Okay, and she is a winner of the Khel Ratna award. Who among the options is the other multiple Olympic medalist to get the Khel Ratna award? Is it Sania Mirza, Rani Rampal, Sushil Kumar or Devendra Jajaria? Others? I'll give 10 seconds more. No, it is Sushil Kumar. Sushil Kumar has won the medal in 08 and then in 12 London Olympics. All right. So the wrestler Sushil Kumar has won. Okay, Devendra Jajaria is an Olympic medalist in 3, but he is a Paralympian. He is a participant of Paralympics. Okay, Devendra Jajaria has won a medal in 3 Olympics: 2002, 2016 and 2020. Okay, 3-time Olympic medal winner. But Sushil Kumar is the only other Olympic. Okay, alright. So Sushil Kumar is the answer to this question of, okay, he won the medal in 08 and 012. Alright, and apologies, in 12 and 16. Okay, that is when, okay, in terms of this, he is the only other multiple Olympic medalist in the Khel Ratnas. We hope to have much more, but till now there are only 2 Indians who have won medals at multiple Olympics. Okay, alright. So on that note, this was a trick question between C and D. Devendra Jajaria is a Paralympian and Sushil Kumar is an Olympian. The question mentioned Olympics. Okay, so on that note, we conclude the session. Lastly, I want to remind all of you about the Bugs Bounty session. We will be doing these quizzes every day now. I will be picking up the quiz questions from the Hindu. On days when the Hindu does not have questions that are relevant for all of you, I will provide you with 6 GK questions every day from current plus static, okay, on the daily newspaper analysis last part. Alright, on that note, if you encounter any bugs on the Unacademy app, please report them in the link given in the description box. Lastly, the weekly test is still there. Today's weekly test is about current affairs and GK. Please test yourself on that. Okay, and Saturday is the Unacademy Law Aptitude test, which is a 60-minute test. Okay, do participate in them. Keep testing yourself. And if you're looking for quizzes more like these, the one that I took, you can start your own also on the Unacademy app. Okay, there are 3 new batches. Law Escape for CLAT 2022. It started on 10th November. There are 2 other batches for 2023 students, which starts on 12th November and 12th November. Okay. Alright. On that note, thank you so much. Okay. And if you like the analysis, please give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, do subscribe and hit the bell icon every day at 11:30. See you all tomorrow. Take care all of you till then. Bye bye.